There you go. Don't do that one, it's dumb. I'm back out at ETTS for another training day. I'm actually testing out the Night Force 4-16 and doing some bolt gun stuff and gas gun and just checking a bunch of different things. So I figured while I was out here, I might as well show 3 of the drills that have helped me improve in scope carbine, precision shooting, bolt gun, whatever you want to call it, that have helped me significantly. But before we dive into those drills, I do want to talk about 2 things, and one is intent. So the intent of drills, make sure that the drills you're doing, you're not just doing because you saw them on the internet. That's cool, it's a great place to start, but just make sure the intent of those drills is helping you get to where you want to be or helping you improve the things you want to improve. So I see guys run the bruiser ladder standard and they are just flat out going through it as quick as they can to try to meet the time standard or to try to get as fast as possible. The goal or the intent of the bruiser ladder standard is to improve your efficiency and economy of motion getting in and out of positions. We're not shooting precise targets. They're not very small targets. It's a 3x5 index card, and that is a very generous target relative to what these guns are capable of. So it's not precision. It's not the accuracy side of it. You're not trying to shoot as fast as you possibly can. It is about your efficiency and economy of motion. That's where you're going to make up the time in doing this drill. So intent is a very important thing to understand when you're doing drills. Just make sure that the intent of the drills you're doing line up with the things you feel like you need to work on. The second thing that I want to talk about before we get into these is isolation. So if you want to improve a skill, you have to isolate that skill. So whatever the intended thing, so again, we'll use the ladder standard as an example, but what it's working on is your efficiency and economy of motion, getting in and out of positions, multiple positions over a course of fire. The easier way to isolate this, or to isolate it even more, is to narrow it down to one position. And it's why I do a lot of build and break drills. Build and break drills are isolating one specific position. So I will do build and breaks for standing, build and breaks for low standing, build and breaks for high kneeling, build and breaks for kneeling, and then build and breaks for prone or a seated position. And by isolating those, you're focusing on that specific position. In the ladder standard, there's a little bit more that we're looking at. It's a bunch of different positions, but you can isolate these things as narrow or as small or to one thing that you can and focus on that. So when you're shooting groups, you're isolating your ability to be precise and accurate. So sitting at 100 in prone or even from positions, when you're shooting, trying to shoot as small groups as possible, you're isolating that skill. So as you create your own drills, which I would highly encourage you to do because your needs are different than everybody else's, but as you're creating your own drills, make sure that you're isolating specific skills and focusing on that one thing. Don't try to focus on 3 or 4 things, focus on one thing. So again, with the ladder standard, if we were to narrow these targets down and make them smaller, we'd be working on 2 different things. We'd be working on economy of motion and getting in and out of positions, and we'd be focusing on being accurate and precise. So whatever drills you do, just make sure they're getting you to the point that you want to be. So whatever goal you have in mind, you know, if you're getting ready for matches or you just want to improve the skill overall, you want to be more well-rounded as a shooter, just make sure that the skills are getting you to where you want to be, that they're moving the needle and getting you incrementally closer to that ultimate end goal. So that out of the way, let's talk about the 3 drills that have helped me. The first drill, obviously, which we've talked about, is the bruiser ladder standard. Now, there have been a bunch of videos on this. You can go watch any of those up here. But this one, again, the focus, the intent of this one is economy of motion, getting in and out of these positions as efficiently as possible. You do see multiple positions. We don't see a lot of ports in matches I've been to. Not to say you won't, but ports are a different beast because you actually have to retract the gun in and out. You have to be more methodical about going in and out. One way you can game it is to take everything off of your rail if you've got stuff off your rail and take your bipod off. But that is not the intent of this because you're trying to learn the skill, and so you're only cheating yourself if you do that. You can also do the attached bag, which I've done in the past, and it does help time-wise, but again, you're cheating yourself on the skill. So bag placement is a big part of this, again, that economy of motion. So I have not run this drill in a while. I've been working some other drills, but this is one I used a lot when I first got started. So we're gonna see what it looks like when I run this cold. So this will be an adventure for all of us. See if we can make the time. And if I don't, I'll just lie. I'm joking. All right.
A few moments later.
Uh-oh. We got a stuck casing. We were making decent time. I would have made the time. Had an ammo malfunction, so we're gonna have to run it again. I've got a few more targets down there. Hopefully we don't have another malfunction, otherwise it's gonna be a very long day. But let's try this again. That one of those might have been close. $59.30, so I made it in time. All right. Oh, I haven't worked on that seating position in quite a while, and it showed. The second drill that I do is an evolution of the bruiser ladder standard, and I do this because it's really easy to get up to the range. Just set up a ladder and some targets, and you can go through all of these pretty quick. What I've done, though, is instead of a single index card, we have two targets that are spread apart, and they both have an index card on them. So the reason I started doing this drill is because one of the things that I've struggled with in matches is target transition. So when we get onto a position, you got to break a shot at the first target and transition over to the other. So that's what the focus of this drill is, just from different positions. It allows you to get to work on target transitions from different levels. And for me, again, the intent, the goal of this, the skill that we're focusing on is driving the hips, so lining up, being square to our first target, and then driving our hips as we adjust and making sure that we're not just trying to lean or twist, because some guys will get here and then just kind of hold this, but then you induce more wobble. So I want to make sure that I'm driving my hips to my next target, and I want to make sure that I'm finding my indication points. So finding the spots behind the target or on the hill where I know the next target's going to be, so that I'm not getting lost looking for the target or shooting the wrong target. So that's why I started doing this drill. That's the intent of this one. That's the skill that I'm focusing on, is finding your target, getting squared up to it, and then driving to the next one, next position. So we'll have two index cards, and then we should have 7 hits on each. So let's see what we do. I don't have a set time for this. I don't typically, aside from the original ladder standard, I don't typically look at times too much. The only thing I really look at times at is on build and breaks, because it's so isolated. And with this, there's just too many variables, right? So like you've got targets, you've got the positions, you've got target transitions. There's a lot of things in there that can create different times. So you may run 2 times that are within, let's say, 6/10 of each other. But in there, it's hard to isolate, well, how were my transitions? How were my follow-up shots? How was my position building? How was I getting in and out of position? So in regards to drills like this, where there's a lot of things added on, I don't typically focus on time too much. I do use it as like a benchmark. I'll do it so many times, get a benchmark, see where I'm at, and then start making sure that I'm reducing that time as I do the drill more and more. With build and breaks, it's so isolated. You're only working on getting into one position, that there's not a lot of variables, a lot of things that could go wrong that will cause time to add up. So it's really easy to use those to measure time and see if you're improving those specific positions, which is what I typically do. But this is a drill for you guys. So let's run it and see what we can get out of it. You drive your hips there, Jim. Get lazy. All right, that time was 77.69. So you can see both in the trigger cam and in my body movement where you have to drive your hips over. The seated is obviously more difficult, but it's something that has helped me improve to find targets and transition more quickly. Still needs more work, but it's getting there, it's getting there. This last drill is one that the hard mode version of it is really dumb, and I'm dumb for coming up with it. but essentially you do the ladder standard, but instead of doing 2 shots from every position, it's 1 shot position, go to prone, go to the next position, 1 shot position, go to prone, next position, go to prone, and you do that all the way up and all the way down. That is very complicated and it's very exhausting. The shorter, the easier version, which is actually going to get you more work, or better work, I should say, is to just do 1 position at a time. So you come on the gun, go to position, take your 1 shot, go to prone, take another shot there, and then do it in reverse. So start the timer over, go to prone, take a shot, and then come up to your position and take a shot. And this specifically, what it's isolating, the intent of this is focusing on that transition from any position you have, then going to prone. We do see this quite a bit in matches where, if you saw the last match that I did, we were on the spool and we had to go from the spool to prone. You do see it a lot. You'll see it if you do the quantified performance. You're usually going to go a standing shot and then somewhere off of a ladder, and then you'll go to prone. So it is incorporated. Prone isn't something we shoot a lot, but going from a position to prone is something that a lot of guys do, myself included, and do it in a way that is very inefficient, so or lacking a sense of urgency. So that's one of the things that I've got to improve. If you look at Scott Peterson or Mike Russo, those guys kind of just like Superman dive down to prone. They are studs, and we're trying to get on that level, so that's why we practice this. So I guess I'll just do the whole thing because I've never been accused of being smart. So this is going to be one of those that's just not a lot of fun, but we're going to do it anyways. Oh, move the ladder. No, this is why we practice it. Come on. $112. $112.08. That sucked. That sucked. There you go. Don't do that one. It's dumb. So as you see with that last one, it's a little sloppy. That's why I started adding it in, or variations of that where I'm isolating, moving from a position to prone or prone to a position. And it's one of those things that like it will save you time. The more efficient you can do it, like right now, the way that I do it is not efficient. It's super sloppy. That's why I've started adding this drill. It looks better than it used to, and it still looks bad. So it's one of those things that like you've got to work on. It's a super niche thing, but as you shoot more, as you compete more, you find more things you need to isolate and work on. But those are the 3 drills that I do. Hopefully they help you guys. Remember your intent with your drills that you're doing, and remember the skill that you're isolating, the thing you're trying to focus on. So make sure those 2 things line up and make sure they are moving the needle or moving you to where you want to be at your ultimate goal. So if there's something that I missed, or if there's something else you guys want to know, leave in the comments down below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Karate chop that bell so you get notified every time I upload a video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Junk was that? That's no bueno. It's a garbage round. I don't even know if I'm in frame. I should probably check that before we start doing dumb stuff. Whew, let's do some Chick-fil-A.